Hello, everyone. Welcome to Akaliko Audio. In this episode, we will be looking at the differences between action and effect versus cause and effect. Now, action and effect was introduced by Mahavira, who was a Jain spiritual teacher. It was regarding the world, its existence, and its operation, and basically his teachings were about the conventional world and conducting our lifestyle in a wholesome way. His clarification of action and effect went into asana kamma, which is death proximate action, achinna kamma, which means habitual action, katatta kamma, cumulative action, apara pariya vedaniya kamma, indefinitely effective action, ditta dhamma vedaniya kamma, immediately effective action, and ahosi kamma, defunct action. Basically, all of these explain how actions generate consequences. The animal, the person exists, and their actions will have repercussions, is the train of thought. This was his theory and what he clarified facts around. So, based on this theory, there is a self, and the actions which they perform get classified as good deeds or not good deeds. Those who do good deeds go to the heavens, and those who do not do good deeds and do possibly sins go to the hells. In this way, he described his theory of action and effect. Now, it is very important to realize that before Gautama Buddha, that this concept of action and effect existed. Gautama Buddha clarified cause and effect. The theory of cause and effect was also practical because you can at this moment observe the mind, the process of thought, and the deep nature of it. In cause and effect, the features of action and effect do not become applicable. This is because the theory of action and effect relates to the journey of the soul, and therefore it has a birth, sickness, decay, and death. So for the theory of action and effect, because it relates to the journey of the soul, it is different to the theory of cause and effect. Because in cause and effect, these facts are only in relation to the process of thought or the operation of the mind. In this moment, thoughts which arise in our mind automatically gives rise to the dependent origination of the memory, the senses, and the perception of the being, the me, or the self. When that thought arises within ceasing in this moment, then the relative memory also ceases for a moment. That memory which ceases in that moment causes the perception of self to cease. By the perception of self, I mean the eyes, the ears, the nose, the body, the tongue, and the mind. All of these cease. There is no one who does that. It is something that happens automatically in the process of the mind. So, just to reiterate that, it is definitely happening with no involvement of the self. Gautama Buddha clarified that there is no one making decisions and no one experiencing the effects. The only thing happening here is a cause and effect phenomenon which arises within ceasing. The phenomenon of cause and effect is described as kammassa karako natti vipakassa cha vedako. No one who acts and no one who experiences the effects. This is because when thought ceases within arising, there is no self. So do we recognize the difference between action and effect and cause and effect? In action and effect, there is a soul, a mother, a father, a womb, a birth of a child. They do good deeds and bad deeds. Therefore, based on their actions, they go to the heavens and the hells. In the theory of cause and effect, however, there is no I and there is no one else. This is due to the cause, the phenomenon of dependent origination, and the dependent origination as it arises also ceasing. What does it mean by it ceasing? It means that it ends. Every thought ends. It shatters. It disintegrates. It dissipates into nothingness. What Gautama Buddha presented is deep. However, the theory of action and effect is not that deep because all it deals with is the operation of the self in life continuum. And that is really very easy to observe from our senses. The theory of cause and effect is only discussed in relation to the mind, and that is what gives its deep nature. In the example of observing the perception of a table, what we can see is that as the perception of table originates, the memory relative to the table automatically originates. When the memory originates, then automatically the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind, in other words, the me, also originates as perceptions. This is the arising of the dependent origination. At the same time the perception of the table dissipates, the syllable te ceases within arising. The syllable bu ceases within arising. So when the perception of the table arises and ceases at the same time, the memory associated to the perception of the table also dissipates at that moment. Then when the memory dissipates at that moment, due to the memory dissipating, the perceptions of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, the mind, in other words, the self, also dissipates. The whole river of perceptions dissipates. The arising happened automatically and the cessation happened automatically. This is the theory of cause and effect presented by Gautama Buddha, that it is a phenomenon of the mind which arises and ceases automatically with no one actively making decisions to do it. That is why it is introduced as the Dhamma of cause and effect. So I hope that was clear, and I hope you can now recognize the differences between action and effect versus cause and effect. I'll see you guys all on the next one.